Welcome to the Stat Guy Show, episode number 33. Joining me tonight is Mr. Brodie Melton. How you doing, man?
Pretty good. How you been?
Good. You playing fetch with your dog or what?
Yeah, I got a little 2-pound Yorkie that never stops.
Oh, I can imagine. What's up, man? How's it going?
Oh, pretty good. Pretty good.
So I saw a picture the other day. Car's looking nice and white, looking nice and new and good. So what other changes did you make to it so far this off season?
Most of it's the same. I stay with my Mike Janus blower. I'm going to stay with the root style blower. I had a lot of people ask me about going screw, but it wasn't in the cards for us financially. And to be honest, I think I had pretty good luck with the roots blower and my current combination. Once we got the new engine, got rid of the one that kept blowing up and having all the problems with it. I don't think we've used all the potential yet. So I think it was best to stay what we had. We freshened the blower up. I haven't freshened the transmission up in 2 years. I mean, Mark Mickey builds a great transmission. So we finally freshened it up, changed the gear set a little bit, changed rear end set a little bit, obviously going to a smaller tire. So, but most of it's the same. We rewired the car, updated a little bit of the wiring. We still ran a little old school before. So all that's been new and updated.
What was the reason for making it white? Because last year you had, I believe it was silver.
So, man, everybody that knows me around here, I like everything I have is white. All my vehicles are white with black wheels. All my trucks, all my work trucks, everything I buy is white. But be honest about it, man. You know, Cody Baker's my next door neighbor, and he was silver when we started racing together, and then he went white. I said, man, I can't go white too. We can't both be Janus blowers and two white cars and live next door to each other. It's like, man, I gotta go something different. So I went silver, and then when he decided to quit, I was like, you know what? I'm going back white.
Nice. Oh, yeah. So you mentioned Cody and Adam Jennings quitting too. They were both roots. How many roots are going to be left? Just you?
I think it's just me. It was just us three on the on Janus blowers to begin with, but I think everybody else is screw blowers.
Yeah. Oh wow. There you go. There you go. All right. With the rule changes this year, how did it affect the roots at all, if at all?
I think they put it to where we can go lighter, but I mean, it didn't matter to me. I can't go any lighter anyways. My car is what it is. I mean, I guess if I spent tens of thousands of dollars trying to chop away certain areas, I could have knocked off another 50 pounds, but it wasn't worth it. So it really didn't affect me much. I ran a 34.5 tire when I first built my car for the first probably couple hundred passes. I didn't switch to a 36 until we were filming Mega Cash Days when I was having a bunch of problems trying to get down that road in Nebraska. I switched on that show and went to a 36 and then just stuck with it ever since then.
Oh, wow. Okay. Now, when are you going to start testing, do you think? You going to try to get a session in before?
Man, we've been trying here. It started raining. We were going to test this last weekend, and it rained. We were going to do a little flashlight race with Limpy and stuff in New Mexico, and it rained. So we've had very poor luck with that. We're planning on testing this Friday. Traditionally, I don't test too often. I mean, my car, 99% of the time, will make the trip. I haven't made a 4-link change since season 4 of No Prep Kings.
Oh, wow. So
I've never adjusted it anywhere since then. I mean, Cody came and helped us out. I ended up going to the semifinals in Outlaw Big Tire at season 4. And, of course, I blew it up in Ennis. I have bad luck there. But had a catastrophic failure, blew the car up, and had to forfeit to the finals for that race. But that was the last time we've made any 4-link adjustments. I've made 0 shock adjustments. The shocks have probably over 1,000 passes on them. They've never been rebuilt. They've never been revalved. It's still the same shocks I wrecked with. So the car's been pretty consistent that way. The way I see it, if I got oil pressure, which has been my main issue, I think we're tested.
Perfect. Perfect. Do you think there's a combination this year that has any advantage going into the year with
Man,
the changes?
I think everybody's fast. I can't tell you one combination. I mean, I guess you got the stats of it. I don't know who I lost to more than others on combination wise. Um, I feel like most of the races that I did lose, I lost to myself.
Okay.
I either missed the tune way too far. I know like Swanstrom, for instance, I ran him one time last year, and the only time I ran him, I didn't make it 50 feet.
Yeah.
I got in my own head, turned it up too high, and lost to him, so I never got a chance to really run him. But I mean, I think screw blowers were killing it last year. Turning it down a little bit, it wasn't going to affect them very much. I doubt it. They're still going to be fast. I think the nitrous cars are fast. The turbo guys are fast, but I feel like that's probably what I've lost to more as a screw blower than I have anything else.
Yeah, right, for sure. And you speak of who you lost to last year. I was looking up the stats before we got on here, and for my calculations, you only lost 6 races in the Invitational last year. 6 times, you won 7. But of those 6, it was like to Swanstrom, Ryan Martin, Robin Roberts. It was guys that were like up there. You know what I mean? You didn't lose to anybody that you weren't supposed to lose to. So that was something cool I saw, is that, you were losing to the top guys. So
Yeah, I know. Like when I lost to Kayla in Idaho, I've got a video on her laptop from her son from the GoPro, and she beat me by inches in Idaho. When I lost to Chuck 55, I mean it was by inches. That's when he blew up and caught on fire on a
okay,
raceway
yeah.
in, and we had to watch the end to see who won the win light. I mean it was that close. It was inches. When I raced Robin Roberts, I've got an awesome video. It's on his YouTube. I was out in front of him. I probably had 2 cars on him, and I broke both push rods. And when it broke, you can see where it blew up, and he just beat me by inches in Arizona and cost us that semifinal. So a lot of races have been pretty close, in my opinion, for those. So I don't think there's been anybody other than I'll say Jim Howe that I can actually say that I gave him power for power. That was in Colorado when I turned the car pretty much all the way up, and I watched Jim just walk out of my life. It was like a Sunday stroll. Watched his parachute come out, and I was like, "Oh man, this is horrible." But,
You weren't the only one that Jim did that to,
yeah.
So let's talk more about last season. So remind me, you started the season in futures, right?
I did. I made every single race last year except for Kentucky, which I was there, but the car wasn't there. But I made every race from beginning to end.
Okay. And before you got in the invitationals last year, you raced futures. How did that go? Because we don't get to watch that, so I don't really have the whole lowdown of what happened in futures last year.
Man, it went pretty bad. It was my worst racing I think I've ever had. It was simple problems like, Florida, I did killer first round, made an awesome pass, got back to the pits, and the fuel pump went out. And, we had to forfeit second round. Couldn't get the car to fire up and stay running long enough. So I had to forfeit, second round. The next race we went to, the fuel pump apparently come apart in some pieces. We ended up plugging off a jet and blew the motor up the next race. And then, we left there, went to the next race. And this was like, we only had a week in between. So it was leave Pennsylvania, drive to Texas to a machine shop, get the block rebuilt and welded up, drive back up there. And, and then the Holly went out. I was running Holly at the time. And it had a problem. It had a glitch on the starting line, the burnout, and it detonated everything at once and blew the block apart. And then the next race, it was something else. And then the oil pump went out the next race, and it blew up again. And then we kept repairing this block so many times, we didn't know until towards the middle of the season here, but I finally got a chance to shut it down long enough and send it to Brad Anderson. The block was cracked so bad on the outside, it was flexing and kicking the rods at high RPM. So, but we were at the mercy of them because we couldn't get a new block. So it was keep repairing the old one and throwing at it, or don't race. So we made what we could work. I went through a lot of rods. I mean, we were changing rods almost every race because we kept blowing them up. But once we got the new block in there, we did decent until I wrecked in Houston.
Yeah. So. Yep. That's right. So how did it go to get the call to go to Invitationals? How did that come about?
Sam reached out to Cody and myself. It was in Houston actually, and we had a meeting in Houston. Went up to the top area, I guess, in Houston, and sat down and talked. And he talked about wanting to bring me up, which I'd been on some other shows, and I'd been on the Team Attacks before.
Yep.
I ran futures for season 4, and when I went to Florida, I won futures in that race in Florida. Okay. And they talked about moving me up then, but it wasn't in my cards. Economically, financially, business wise, just wasn't in my cards to run season 4. So I declined and told them I couldn't do it. Couldn't make the next race. Didn't know when I'd make the next ones. And I think that did hurt me a little bit. So in season 5, when I was a little more prepared, I had to start my way from the bottom again and keep trying until I got the call to go in. But once he called, we accepted and went to race. And then I wrecked that same day.
That was the Houston race, right? So that when you got the call, you got to do the race your way in, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we drew Bobby on the race away in, and which we were pretty confident in that. And we got to do one grudge pass before, and I did it with Sean Wilhoit, and I made a killer pass. I mean, it was a killer pass. And at the end of that run, it threw a rod through the block, through the chutes, and the chute bracket blew off. Lost both parachutes. Brake pedal went out. Like the brake pedal broke off. Like it was one of those things. It was just going to happen, and all we could do was ride it and went through the sand traps that weren't plowed, and it was like hitting rocks. And we went right through that, and I ended up 660 feet after the sandbox. Through 2 fences, and
I can't remember. Did they? Because I always watch live feeds and videos. I can't remember if I saw that. Did they show that on the show at all?
No. I asked Sam about that. I was like, "Well, did you get any good footage on that?" And he says, "Well, I did till you drove to the next county." He said, "There's no cameras out there in that field that's on somebody else's property." So they had footage all the way until I got after the finish line. Then everybody kind of turned around and they were getting ready to run the next round when people started yelling that I was wrecking. And Will yelled over his radio that I was fixing to wreck, and had a long time to wait to wreck. I mean, it's a long shutdown. But with nothing there, it's just I had probably 15, 20 seconds to think about crashing before it happened.
Right. No kidding. Was Tulsa the next race after that? Because I want to say Tulsa was the first one you got into the Invitational.
I remember so I was in, so Tulsa was the next race, which we had like a 3 or 4 week gap. Thankfully,
right. Yep.
That's the only reason we made it. We ordered a new front clip and fixed the car and put they got the new block, the new engine, and then went to Tulsa. And unfortunately, Mike passed away, and there was no points. There was no real race. We were just kind of there. We tried there, and we ended up losing. I don't remember who we lost to, but we raced our way in, and that was that.
Right. Now, okay, so most of the issues you had last year, did you figure out was because of the block? Would you say that was most of the issues that was going on, or was there just other bad luck things going on?
The block was a big part of it. Like the first part was the fuel pump, which had never gone out. The Holly had never gone out. The oil pump, I've never broke that oil pump. It ended up breaking. The spring broke halfway on it. It was just a various things of first-time breaks that kept causing issues. And then the block was the finishing factor after the fact.
Right. Yeah, and so you had a kind of short season in Invitational. My stats show you went 7-6, but you actually were 11th in win percentage last year out of all the guys. So finished 11th in win percentage, which is awesome. How do you think your short part of your season went overall? How would you rank that? Did you do what you wanted to accomplish in that?
I did. I wanted to. Obviously, I was so far behind once I got to get in and start qualifying for points. I wanted to be in the top 30, and I think I ended up 30th.
30th. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I think that was where I ended up getting where I was planning on being where I wanted to be at least, trying to race my way in. I wanted to race my way in every race and show I could do that, and I think I made all of them but one.
Yep.
And that was the one I lost to Chuck 55.
Right.
So
yep.
That was the only
sure.
race weigh-in I didn't make. But overall, I was pretty happy with it.
Yeah, and then talk about how the very last. I mean, you had struggles all year, all that stuff going on, and the very last race, you make it all the way to the semifinals. How did that feel to end your season in? I think it was Ennis, right? Yeah, in the semifinals.
Man, it was Ennis was traditionally I do well there until I don't. It was going very good in Ennis. I was happy with the results of Ennis. Obviously, we raced our way in there, and then we won our first round and won our second round. Then I ran against Daddy Dave, and I was like, that's my first time to race Daddy Dave. And when we beat him, it kind of built some more confidence there. And then we got Brandon James. And I know on TV I figured that was going to be a little more than what it was, but I'm not a guessing person. I'm really not. I've never guessed. I don't probably on anybody on any race we've done there. And that race, particularly with Brandon, I was a little antsy. I was a little nervous. I knew he outgunned me, out horsepowered me. He had some licks of the road. He's a fast guy, and I knew it was coming. And but I felt like we were on the trans brake forever, waiting for that green light to come on. And I let the button go, and the first thing in my mouth was just shit. And then I saw it go green, and the next thing in my mouth was like, no way, because I never saw the green light. No way. And we pedaled it one time, and I stayed out in front of him the whole way. And I think we were both just as amazed at the end. He got out and asked, his first thing he said was, man, was I that late? I said, no, I was that early. When I beat him, my confidence level went way up. Callie is a great racer. She was my next round after that, but I was pretty confident in taking that race with Callie. And I think I was doing pretty well until it blew up. I was out in front of her, and I think it was going to be a very good race until it let go. So
right. Yeah, so you ended, like I said, you ended the season 7-6. I would think before we get into next season, like, where's your confidence coming from right now for this upcoming season? Like, are you pretty confident in your program?
I am. We found some weak links in our program. We talked to Jim Howe a lot on a few things, what we were running, different things we did wrong, with heads and stuff, and just a few things we did wrong. I think this year we're going to be a lot more prepared. We're changing our maintenance program a little bit. I've always been pretty good on the maintenance program on the engine side and rods and rod runs and pistons and rings, but I've always kind of neglected the heads. I've never traditionally had very many issues out of them until the back half of the season there. I broke the first valve in Alabama, dropped the first valve in Ennis. I mean, that was just right through the end, they'd ran out of their life. So we're going to be a little more proactive this year. And I've got a lot more spare parts this year. With Cody quitting, I bought his transmission from him. So now I've got 2 transmissions, which I didn't have before. I'd ordered a couple of blocks last year, so now I've got 3 blocks this year, which I can be a little more confident on if we need to push the car a little harder. I hate to blow one up or tear one up, but if I did, I've got a few more spare parts this year than I had last year.
Yeah, well, that's good because going into the season now, we know it's 14 races. The first 5 are all right in a row without any breaks. Is it possible, you think, to have enough parts for this season? Like, is it possible to have too many spare parts? Because it's going to be a long season, man.
No, it's not possible. We do a lot of racing, especially on a blower car. My problem's carrying fuel too, where some guys can make a drum of fuel last them multiple races. In a blower car, I got to carry 4, 5, 6 drums of fuel with us. And, we'll go through a drum a weekend. I mean, hell, we use 5 gallons just to warm the car up, and it's carrying the fuel, carrying parts, flights, hotels, logistics. I mean, everything's going to be difficult. But definitely parts. If you can get parts, the long lead items is the kicker there to keep them on order and keep them coming.
Yeah. Yeah. Just keep them coming. Don't even stop.
Yeah. You receive a set of rods, you better have another set on order. It's taking me about 7 or 8 weeks to get rods right now in pistons.
Wow.
Pistons
Man.
are taking close to 3 months now. They're a little longer than my rods are. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
I've got a few sets of rods this year, so I've got a few sets ready to go to start out with at least.
you touched on it. You just touched on it a little bit. Do you think how important is it to have all those extra parts? Because then you're able to Then you're able to push your car, especially if you get into those later rounds, you can really, push on your motor, compared to if you didn't have the spare parts. I know some of the guys who run smaller programs like yourself and stuff, they get to that point where they don't want to push it too much because, they don't have something extra, so they can't blow it. But talk about the importance of having all those spare parts so that you can push your car.
Yeah, like you said, you get to the final round, if you're racing Kai or Ryan or Swanstrom or somebody, they've had a few stabs at it. They're going to be faster and faster throughout the rounds. And at the end of it, you got to make the decision. Well, if I go through to be conservative because I don't have another set of rods, or hey, these rods got 25, 30 runs on them, this is the end of their life. Do I want to turn this up 10,000 RPMs to win this race? Like how bad do I want this semifinal or final?
Right.
And am I prepared to run a rod or melt a piston or throw a rod through this block to get my point across or to win this race? So having spare parts is going to be a big key deal, especially the guys that have multiple engines and they can call Pro Line and have a new one tomorrow. It's
Right.
they're going to push it to the limit. So if they think they have to, they're going to do what they've got to do to get that win and secure the points too.
Right. No kidding. Yeah. So last year we saw you guys form Team South. And then this off season now, especially lately, you saw a couple of Team South members hang it up. Were you? Did that give you even more reason to like the new team format that they're coming out with this year of a draft? Because you wouldn't have many teammates left if it wasn't for that.
Yeah, I feel like we would have been having to tuck our tails and go back and do some apologizing, and asking,
Mike, yeah,
hey man, can we come clean your windows or something, So luckily there's a new team format, so we're all free,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was kind of our group text. I think when we have a Team South text, and that was one of the things that brought up. I think Kayla put on there. So there's no more teams. When we were trying to figure out what we were going to do, so it kind of made it easy for the transition. None of us had to quit each other or say, hey, I'm going this or this direction. It just kind of, the show did it for us. So,
right. What do you think of the new team format that the concentration is this year? Do you like the switch up?
I do. I think it's pretty neat. Obviously I've seen fans kind of, they're diehard 405 and now they've got to split up their favorite driver or diehard NOLA or diehard this or that team. But I think it's going to be pretty neat seeing, if Lizzie does make captain and see Kai and Lizzie going against each other and, conspiring against each other, or the 405 going against each other. Obviously everybody's still friends at the end of the day and still try to help each other, but it's going to be interesting watching the competitive field go from, it's not just a one-time race. Now this is a full team battle throughout the whole season it's a lot of money and a lot of points and a lot of growth here for this.
Yeah, for sure. Have you thought about the draft, being a draftee, and how the situation? You've probably never been in this situation like this before. I wouldn't imagine. Only like professional football players or guys who are in the college, the NFL draft. Feel like. Have you thought about how it's going to be sitting there waiting for your name to get called to one of the teams?
Man, I had this conversation with somebody about an hour ago, actually. I don't think I'm going to get picked anytime soon. I'm sure I'm going to be one of the guys towards the end, just for the fact that I am newer on it. I did have a lot of issues last year. I think if a captain does their homework and looks at your stats and sees our win-loss ratios and how we did perform on the races we did do, I think if they look at that, they might change their mind looking stat wise. But it's independent on if somebody's picking with their heart or picking with a friend or what their justification is on picking a teammate. But I feel like we'll get in. I just think we'll probably be getting in towards the end.
Okay. Yeah. And who knows? Like, there's so many different kind of draft strategies. Like, there's so many different ways someone can pick their teammates. They can pick the fastest people. In your opinion, like for the whole team to be successful next year, do you think, like, what do you think the most important thing is? Do you think it's that you just have all the fastest guys, or do you think like if you all have the same combinations, or some of you have the same tuner? Do you think? I mean, what do you think the most important thing is for a team to be successful this year?
I think it's going to be a lot of the drive. I mean, if you can be a fast team, but again, this is also, this isn't just a sprint to the finish line. It's a longevity game too. So if you get, like I said, a blower car with a turbo car, they may not have the same tuning, the same capability, the same anything. But if you got a guy who can run both, or you get like Kai, for instance, that can help tune a nitrous car compared to a blower car, and he's got a suspension guy that could possibly help you out. Where I don't have a suspension guy, I don't have a tuner, I mean, it's me and Wes and the few friends I have come out with us. If you have somebody in that corner for you, they can say, "Hey, man, try this different," or "Hey, your car's going a little left. My suspension guy over here will help you out. Let's get this car lined out because your next race is important for our team." I think that's
Right.
more of it is than anything else. Obviously, people like it's gonna be interesting with like Kayla and Will Hoyt and guys that do share the same tuner and end up on different teams.
Yes.
Traditionally, that's where Team South did pretty good. We had Game Changer and Kayla and Will Hoyt, all three ran the same combo, and Kyle Cannon. So
Yeah.
Kyle was in the futures, and so was Game Changer, and he could go out there and try something with Kyle's car that obviously didn't work, that would work in Sean's car, or try Sean's car that worked in Kayla's car, and he got 4 stabs at it with a
Yep.
ProLine Pro Charge setup. Now it's going to be a little different. He's still going to have the same opportunity, but how's he going to work against 4 different teammates?
Right. Yep.
Compared to being on the same team?
Right.
I think that's beneficial for them to be on the same team. For that fact, they run the same combo, same tuner, and he gets 2 tries at it, or 3 tries or 4 tries or however many teammates are on there. But
Mm-hmm.
it's going to
Yeah.
be
And then
interesting outside of that.
yeah, right. And then you got to think that captains know that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if you got Kayla on a team and then someone like, well, I'm going to pick Sean so that Sean cannot be on Kayla's team. You know what I mean? Like, we don't want all those people together on the same team. So it's going to be a very interesting night for sure.
Yeah, it'll throw a kink in some people's plans on that when they start separating out tuners and teams and, people that help each other on nitrous or vice versa, whatever the situation, or like a Odom and Howe deal. That's going to be an interesting split if they're not together, being in the same pit, doing the same car together and in different teams.
Yep.
It's going to be a different split.
Yeah, it's going to be entertaining for sure. Brodie, do you have any personal goals going into this year? Like how you want to finish? What you want to accomplish?
Man, I want to be in the top 8 this year. That's my goal this year. I don't think I could be number 1 or 2. I mean, I'm being realistic about that. Again, I don't have the budget or the parts to do that. Like I said, I can't go out there and swing for the fence every single pass. I've got to make my stuff last too. And I'm going to get some of the greatest guys in the nation. I mean, some of the greatest tuners in the nation. And I just kind of tuned myself there. I figured it out type deal. Cody helped me out a little bit on some questions here and there, and he still will over the phone. But I still think we can get in the top 8. I think at the rate we were going last year, if I had a chance to be there for all of them and race all of them with that fresh engine in the beginning, I think that was an achievable goal to be in the top 8.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's definitely a realistic goal, for sure. Brodie, if you want, people online will take some questions right now. So if you are watching, put some questions you have for Brodie in the chat box. Brodie, you're on your phone, so you might have to switch to a different screen to see the comments if you want. Otherwise, I can look as well. Should be under like comments or chat or something on your phone. I never know what the other side looks like.
Oh, wow, there's a bunch of them on here.
Yeah, there's Ben. Here we got a good one right away.
Kayla, what captain would you prefer to pick you? Huh? Oh man, that's a good question. Man, you know, I really can't say that. I don't know. I don't have a problem with any of the captains so far that I've seen. So I think I'm gonna let fate do it. What his deal is, to me, I guess whatever captain does pick me, I think we're gonna do our best job we can.
Right. And I hope, and I bet I could see it happening already. Is someone like the guys who have the big race programs who are fast, like Ryan or Jim. Jim won't be a captain, but if you're on that team, I can see like Ryan really helping his teammates out, like to, you know what I mean, to get to the level that he's at. You know what I mean? So like if you were like a guy with a smaller program and less money, like Brian would be a great, I think Brian would be a great, team to be on, because I think he's the type of guy to really help his teammates out for sure, because he wants to win. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I feel like most of these captains are probably going to they wouldn't be a captain, I don't think, if they weren't willing to do that for this year too. I think
Right.
Swanstrom will bring a lot of energy into his program. Obviously, his social media. I mean, if you want to blow your social media up, that's the team to be on. If you're
Right.
wanting to have the team of, everybody, Ryan's fast, but if you end up on Ryan's team, people are going to automatically think you're going to win this whole series just because you're on Ryan Martin's team. And that's not
Right.
the case, but I think it's going to be whatever team has the most drive and can get along and work together and actually help each other, not just, hey, we park next to each other and see you if you see you type deal.
Right. Yeah, for sure. No, you're right with that. Definitely. Brodie, I got a question for you. I know the answer to this, but for everybody else, what do you do for a living that allows you to travel and race and also makes it damn near impossible to do an interview with you?
So I work in the oil field here in West Texas. I actually work for two different companies. And then I own my own company as well that I just started back about 4 or 5 months ago. It's a pretty small company. I've only got 4 employees. But yeah, they kind of go hand in hand. So yeah, I've been on 24-hour call most of my life. The jobs I go on never stop. We follow frac crews around that never stop. The more they screw up, the more we work. So I work on production side and completion side with both companies. So it's just it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I've got some really good bosses. I've done what I've been doing now for 16 years. So I've got a pretty good reputation in what I do. And I've worked with the same guys for, most of those years. So when it came time to race stuff, it was like, hey, man, this is what I want to do. And they're like, man, it's cool. Go for it. I mean, you're on salary. You're getting paid regardless. But I still put in 100+ hours a week usually. Sometimes I work 24 hours a day and whatever we got to do. So in between these races, we'll actually be flying back and forth. So we're going to take the car to the next track, drop the rig, and we're going to fly home. And I'm going to come work for 2 or 3 days. And I work while we're on the road. I've got Wi-Fi in my pickup trailer. I still set up jobs and sell jobs while we're out of town. I've had to answer the phone in the car and be like, hey, man, give me 5 minutes. I'll call you back in 5 minutes, and
yeah.
I've had my phone ringing during interviews and the team drawings and drawing chips. My phone starts ringing and I can feel it vibrate in my pocket. And I'm like, hey, man, I'll call you back in a minute. So it's never ending, but I've been blessed with that. I mean, I've got some really good bosses that are real supportive of it. They let me take the time off I need to go do it because they know they're going to get the work and the hours out of me when I'm home. So.
Right. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I got Mandy in here and Wes are all saying he works when he's racing and he even when he's driving, he's working. So that's good, man. That's I think everything you went through last year, I mean, you had a lot of issues, but man, you were always there. Like you said, you only missed one invitation. You were there, but your car physically wasn't there. But you're at every single race. You know what I mean? Like if a team captain is looking for somebody to have on their team, like I think being able to make every single race or have the will, or the want to make every single race has to be one of the higher attributes that they're looking for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And our plan is to make every single race this year. I mean, I think I've got most of it worked out now. So I've got some good group of guys that are working for me. They're going to take care of things while I'm gone on my personal side, as well as I'll do my job while I'm on my other side here. But I think we should be able to make every race. I think I've got enough parts for every race. I mean, obviously I still have some more stuff on order right now that we'll continue ordering and growing and building on from track to track or wherever we're going. But yeah, as long as me and Wes and Mandy can keep it all together there and get it from race to race and track to track, we should be able to race.
Hell yeah, man, for sure. Well, hey, Brodie. First off, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show tonight, man. I'm glad we finally got to link up and do this. It means a lot to me, man. I really appreciate it. I wish you the best of luck this season, of course. I think you'll be drafted higher than what you think you'll be drafted. So I wish you luck with that, man. And I'll be there for the draft, man. So I'll definitely come and meet you and say what's up.
Good deal. You'll definitely be able to hear me. I've got probably the loudest stereo on the property there.
All right, man. Can't wait.
Do a stat on that.
All right, man. Sounds good. Well, you have a good night, sir. Thank you.
Appreciate it.